Okay, Adobe Challenge 2, which you will find in Google Classroom under Classwork. And on the left-hand side here, you can see all of the different topics. And we're going to keep it to a lean 9 or 10. That's what it will be. You'll find everything nestled underneath these categories here. We're currently working on progression. It's all about progression. This is a unit, isn't it? It's all about you developing your career opportunities, thinking about your next steps, and building your skills as well as recognizing areas to develop. So, here you will see all the resources from lessons delivered by John, Amanda, and myself. Let's have a little look, shall we? So, under progression, you will find different bits and bobs, but in particular, we're looking for this here, which is Adobe Challenge 2. Now, Adobe Challenge 2 focuses around audition and podcast creation, much like with Adobe Challenge 1, in which I shared lots of resources to help you. Adobe Challenge 2 has a similar amount of tips and guidance and advice to help you. So, let's have a look at what you're going to be doing. For Adobe Challenge 2, you're going to be using Adobe Audition. You're going to be starting the 26th of September in my lesson at 9 o'clock and handing in 2 weeks later a solution, a product to the following brief. You're going to be planning and recording a podcast, 5 minutes maximum, absolute maximum, about the topic of digital well-being in a team of 2 to 3 people maximum. Your deliverables, the things you are tasked with creating, are as follows. A call sheet of the days you are recording, which will include the times that people are expected to arrive to record and expectations of those people. What is needed in terms of resources, in terms of software and hardware. You'll need to give us a cue sheet stroke script. I've got a template I'm going to be giving you. You can use as the basis, but by no means are you tied to that. The one I'm going to be giving you is based on one that some friends of mine who work on some quite popular podcasts in the UK use. So it seems appropriate for you to be using industry standard scaffold for this particular task. Rehearsals and behind the scenes images and test runs of your process in creating your podcast about digital well-being. Annotated with reflections of your problem solving, that constant iteration, adaptation, and getting better. The story of the project is as important as the product to us. Of course, the completed MP3 of the podcast itself. So the actual podcast itself, 5 minutes maximum. You're going to be using at least 2 microphones and including intro and outro music as well, please. I also want a reflection vlog or podcast as a team, evaluating the piece at the end of this 2-week process. Now, you are going to be in your team of 2 to 3 people maximum working through this project, and it is audio only. I need to stress that point. It is audio only. Now, I appreciate many of you consider podcasts to be something of a visual medium, and increasingly they are becoming known as such, but we are taking podcasts to mean audio first, and an audio project is what this is going to be for 2 weeks, whereby you are going to be discussing, debating, talking about this topic of digital well-being, something that's very, very important to the college. And if you know me, then certainly you'll know that it's something I care about deeply. You're going to be talking about this topic and creating a podcast. Now, audio is what I'm looking for. That's what is most important to me. So how you set up your mics, the rehearsals, the practices are going to be really useful as well. The process, as it were. So think about that. Practice, 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 practice. Podcasting and audio production is something that is in high demand throughout the sector, and an area, a skill set that is enormously beneficial for you to develop and grow. So consider audio production in a deeper way than you did last year. Think about the sound design, think about the use of beds, stings, themes, intros, outros, sponsorship. You might want an advert halfway through perhaps. But all that matters to me in relation to this brief, what I'm looking for, just to be very clear with you, is, as I've stated here, it's about the topic of digital well-being. Now, in lessons, I'm going to be giving you some resources and things to consider. I've literally got a tool right now that helps me to manage my time. As you can see, it counts down how long I need to work on a project, and I use this all the time. I think helping people with different ways to manage their time, different apps and things like this, is something I want you to consider for this project. Advice, guidance, tips, help, looking into the neuroscience, the psychology, the impact on the chemistry of a generation's minds. That's the topic. How you interpret that is up to you. There we go then. The second Adobe challenge is about podcast creation. 5 minutes maximum, a podcast about digital well-being in a team of 2 to 3 people. As ever, if you need help with anything at all, speak to myself and the digital team who are based in the Learning Hub. You might even get 1 or 2 interesting interviews from people in the team. Just saying.